The importance of that is, if the Supreme Court had struck it down on a narrower basis by saying, for example, that the federal government doesn't have the power to determine what a marriage is, that's a matter for the states, that would have been a very narrow ruling. This is a very broad ruling. If the Supreme Court here is saying that the federal government can't make distinctions between same-sex and opposite-sex couples in terms of what marriages the federal government will recognize, then this is an opinion that can be used by proponents of same-sex marriage to attack laws in other states. So it's a significant ruling from the Supreme Court. We're still waiting for the decision on California's Proposition 8. But I would say, based on the size of this ruling and the size of the dissent, that it's going to take the justices a long time to read their opinions from the bench. I would guess that the dissenters will read their dissents as well. So we've got some period of time to wait here before we get the other decision. But
Pete, I just want to mention, obviously, we're hearing reaction. We're now seeing reaction in Washington and elsewhere. I know at the court people had camped out overnight trying to get a seat to go in and witness this historic ruling coming down. I want to just ask you this. Immediate impact right now on the federal government, on the 12 states in the District of Columbia that recognize same-sex marriage, and on the states that do not. What is the immediate impact?
Well, the immediate impact is now the federal government's going to have to rework all of its regulations. First of all, the woman who brought this case no longer owes the IRS $300,000. This was a challenge brought by a woman in New York named Edie Windsor. Her same-sex partner died and left her the estate. The IRS said, well, we can't recognize your marriage, so you owe us $300,000. That's how this case got to the Supreme Court. So it's a direct win for her. But in terms of the federal government now, they're going to have to rework all their regulations. What this means is that now if a couple gets married in, say, Massachusetts, where same-sex marriage is legal, or any of the other 12 states, or here in the District of Columbia, those marriages were already recognized by the state, but not the federal government. So, for example, we know of cases where a gay service member would deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan, get killed on active duty. Their survivor would not be entitled to federal survivor benefits. The military wouldn't even tell them that their spouse had died because they didn't